I will say this, and I've mentioned this before. Various shows. The way that I see it, and I love that you word it in a way that it's like it's about power, because effectively that's exactly what it is. And I look at you could even throw some of the major other publishers out there, but especially with Marvel, if you want to talk about like their market share of comics, Marvel and DC effectively is the sugar daddy of the industry. And what I mean by that is that you talk about this lack of talent that is allowed to, I mean, for lack of better terms, run characters into the ground. See, when you're not dealing with like having to maintain a certain bottom line, you don't do dumb shit like that. I think we talked about it last show. It's like, okay, I'm a business owner. I have a decision to make, and I need to grow this universe. Here are my options: Mike Barron, Chuck Dixon, Max Visaggio. Okay, so, or Vita Ala. I mean, pick them, whoever. Of course.
Well, Max is a beautiful woman, Eric. So I would appreciate if you compared them more to the Soskas. You know,
that person would like to think that they are. We'll throw the Soskas in the mix too. I got a decision to make between them and the group of weirdos. Anybody that cares about the bottom line and is dealing with their own money, right, says, I'm taking 9 times out of 9 Chuck, Mike, Soskas every fucking time. Reason being is because the goal is to sell to an audience that actually exists, right? Mm-hmm. Whereas with a Marvel or DC, they play by a different set of rules because they have the benefit of being tied to multinational mega corporations, right? And I do believe that there is some sense of awareness by the industry, which is why I believe they're so fucking delusional, right? I believe that there is some bit of awareness where they understand if it fails to or ceases to exist, the current structure, where do I go?
Mm-hmm.
Where do I go? Some of these guys have shown that if they try to do their own thing, it just don't hit the same. It's different. When your name's tied to Batman, when your name's tied to Superman, or your name's tied to X and O, it can be very lucrative. But when it's not tied to that, it's a lot more uncertainty. You're finding out that maybe you're not the draw. So I think there's a bit of awareness by these people where they're like, look, we have to be protective and delusional with regard to this industry, because should it change fundamentally, let's say Warner or Discovery woke up tomorrow and said, look, we're in debt, okay? And we're holding L's like it's going out of style. We gotta start pinching pennies here, man. And there's gonna have to be some, maybe losing millions of dollars didn't matter as much, but now it kind of hits a little different because we got to find out where to cut. Maybe they say, and I'm not saying this is gonna happen. I would say it wouldn't. If they say, look, man, we're out of the publication game. We're out. We're out. I think people need to understand that, yes, the talented artist will be fine. But a lot of these guys, and I think it's well over half of them, writers and such, there is no spot for them on the other side. There's no room for them. They are going to be working something else, but it won't be in comics because they don't have the draw, the demand to eat off of that. So that's why I believe a lot of these guys are so protective, especially when a guy like a Mark Miller hits kicks the hornet's nest, but also, again, he's richer than all of them. So it don't hit as much, right? When you start talking all the shit, calling them all these names, he's like, dude, I closed the deal for like $50 fucking million. There ain't shit you could tell me. You cannot do anything to me. He won't say it, I'll say it for him, right? But that's more or less the approach. So they're like having to come to terms with like, fuck, man, there's no spot for us. So we have to, anybody that dares to try to threaten the status quo, we got to do everything we can to try to bury them. We have to, because if this shit goes away, we're done. I'm not saying that every one of them are smart enough to understand that, but I do believe there's a decent amount of them that knows if Marvel and DC, as they exist right now, if you just take those two, you can throw the other ones in there. But even if we just especially took Marvel and DC, if those two changed fundamentally, like their publication, and they started like being a lot more aware of their spending, maybe they get in the licensing game a little more or whatever it may be. Let's just say they're not hiring in the same capacity that they were before. These people are done. They're done. There's no room for, because legitimately there's no fucking room for them. And I think that's why they push back the way that they do. I think that's why they're so fucking angry, because the writing's on the wall. And I think it's an inevitable, inevitable thing. I don't know when it's going to happen, but I do believe that at some point in time, this isn't sustainable. Let's just say that. It's not a sustainable thing. It's going in the wrong direction, right? Even some of the guys that are in the mainstream, they try to butter it up. I see V2 put out an article not too long ago talking about like basically the business side of comics in 2023. And they discussed how like the direct market is just, you know, and how much changes is happening to it. They know. These fuckers know, bro. They know that this shit ain't sustainable. So should it go away, what are you going to be left with? Where does Mags go? Where does Vita Ayala go? Where does Kelly Sue DeConnick? Where do they go? Who's going to, when they actually are not tied to a mega corporation? So their bottom line is so impactful. It matters so much, and they have to hire based on merit. Why on earth would I select them? And I'm not even trying to disrespect. I'm just talking, making dollars make sense. Again, if I got an option between like a Chuck Dixon and you, why on earth would I? Why would I go there? You can't guarantee me sales. If anything, I might lose it. Hell, this is my argument that I was making about Rebel Moon. It's like, I think, and I'm not gonna say Max single-handedly ruined fucking Rebel Moon's release. I'm not stupid enough to say that, but I do believe bringing her on to do a prequel comic zapped a lot of enthusiasm from those that are aware of who she is. Right. So for me, I think that it may get worse before it get better, because this is all that they have. They're desperate. Desperate.
I'm just thinking, well, number one, I'm not going to play Max's game. When you're handpicked by Zack Snyder, you're not handpicked by Zack Snyder.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Zack Snyder has no fucking idea about Mags's mitigated failure. We know it's a marketing team, and we know that it's optics for rehab of Zack Snyder. We've been through this, right? So once again, Mags gets a Make-A-Wish book, because they are the Make-A-Wish child, like Vida Ayala. They're Make-A-Wish children of the comic book industry. You hit a box, an ESG, DEI, die, more like. We know that they hit one of those boxes. Essentially, when you're being judged based off that, it means you're shit. And they know that. Vida knows that. Actually, I'm not sure. Vida does come across as fucking retarded. So I'm not sure that Vida actually realizes and has the self-awareness to understand that they are simply there because they tick a box. Mags knows. Mags absolutely knows. And when you're there to tick a box, it means you dog shit. It means you're here because you can tick this. Not because you're talented. Not because you've got legitimately something to say. Not that you're legitimately creative and you can take a character and you can go with it and run with it and make it something, maybe boost the sales on it, get some interest in that character. No, nothing. You're there because you hit one of our racist, sexist, misogynistic we're far leftists, so we're actually projecting boxes. That's what you do. And there has to be, like I said, not too sure with Vida because I think they are that stupid. They don't have the self-awareness. But that has to eat you up inside. You must, when you're dealing with bitter people, untalented people who actually do know that they're not there because they're good, they got to be, he's got to eat them up inside.
Yeah.
They got to know. And so they get more and more resentful. Mark Miller, you talked about IP. Mark's made his money off his own IP. Not because of Superman, not because of Batman, not because of The Authority. That wasn't his property. He just wrote it, some of it. You know, he that's not what made him. It was Wanted, it was Kick-Ass, you know, it was Kingsman. Stuff like that. Kingsman.
Yeah.
That's what made him, his own stuff. And that's what puts the fear of God into them. Because they know that Mark doesn't have to woo the industry for a job.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to flirt with the industry to get work. Where's Mark's Wade original IP? Doesn't have any. Not of any worth. Nothing. I don't know of any.
I know he did a little bit in independent but it's not like it's not like he was known for it. Like Mark is. Like Mark's like ate off of his own stuff. Like I don't think he can say that at all. Whatever he did independently, I don't think like all Mark Wade for the most part is known for is doing mainstream stuff. That's
I say, you know, Kick-Ass was a phenomenal success. Kingsman was a phenomenal success. Those two films that made him fuck you money.
Yeah.
So when you're in an industry that you know you don't deserve to be in, that you know you don't have the talent to be in, that you have to beg for fucking money because you're A, not talented enough, and B, too bone idle to get an actual job, because you think somehow in your brain you deserve to be there, or it's my right to be there, which it is not.
Mm-hmm.
If you can't sell product to put food on your table, you don't deserve a place at the table. You need to get up, fuck off, fuckity bye, and then the next person in the queue that thinks they've got a shot, that you think's got talent, bring them in. That's what needs to happen.
Well, that's what a just place, a just culture,
that's the meritocracy.
Yeah, that's how it will operate.
And the meritocracy doesn't discriminate against any facet of your life. The meritocracy doesn't care if you're gay, doesn't care if you're Muslim, you're black, you're Asian, you're white. It doesn't care. The meritocracy operates off talent. It operates off sales. And if people are buying your book and your book selling, there's something there. People are clearly gravitating towards it, for whatever reason it may be. And then you keep them on. But when you don't sell, when you can't sell, and when you're constantly getting jobs, you're wasting that company's money. But that company's supported, as we already know, by Warner, by Disney. So they don't give a fuck. So you have an industry that doesn't give a fuck about its product. No. And then you come across somebody like Mark who does give a fuck. Somebody who doesn't actually make money from the books he's making. He's writing them for fucking fun now because he loves them.
No.
He's done his deals. He's done his signing. He's signed that shit. So you've come across against somebody that cares versus an industry that doesn't give a shit. Doesn't give a shit about what product it puts out. Doesn't give a shit about its audience. Doesn't give a shit about who it hires as long as they tick the right box. They don't give a shit. Yeah. And when you get somebody like Mark that shines a big spotlight on that, because I can talk about this till I'm blue in the face. I'm not going to make, you know, I'm preaching to a converted audience. You're going to have some. The more you get into the industry, you're going to have more and more influence the more you get deeper into that. But the other day, you had somebody that was just like, oh, you think that you can tackle Mark Waid's Batman Superman? And I just like to you, Eric, they're wanting to compare you to Batman and Superman coming at Isom. This is the biggest compliment in the world. What did they do? They fucking deleted that immediately.
They did delete it.
They deleted it immediately. because they didn't realize what they'd fucking done.
Yeah.
They're like, ha, we're going to send Batman and Superman. By the way, Isom has probably sold more, has probably made more money than the Batman and Superman comics combined. Yeah.
It's not even
over
close.
The last 12 months. I'd like to see the numbers of those together.
Yeah, but that publication, it's not even close, for sure. Like, just considering where page count, price point, and money it sells, it's not even close. You know, we've made far more money than anything that they could have done. But yeah, that was very flattering for that person to do that.
Thank you.
Like, okay, I mean, I guess I appreciate it. I mean, I'm being compared. And they, you know, he said it like there was they stumbled across, I don't know, the fucking Hope Diamond. Like, hey, here's Batman and fucking Superman, right? Like literally arguably the two most prominent fucking in some capacity comic book characters of all time. Fucking fiction, fuck comics, like just
like, pop culture, man.
Just regardless. Oh, and they're saying it was over Isom one. I'm like, look, man, if that's my comp, I'm in a good spot. This early on, a year in, I'm fucking in a good spot. If that's gonna be the comparison, right? But yeah,
can't compare him to Green Lantern. He'll smash that. Can't compare him to the Flash. Smash that. Can't compare him to Wonder Woman. Smash that. Can't compare him to Martian Manhunter. Smash that. Can't compare him to Green Arrow. Smash that. Can't compare him to Black Canary. To Poison Ivy, to Harley Quinn. Smash that. We have to attempt to go to the biggest two. What about Batman and Superman? They may possibly, I'm not too sure, be able to give you a run. Fuck off.
Yeah, thanks. You know, but no, it's like to your point. You know, when you navigate the way that Mark is, and guys like myself and others that are kind of eating on their own property, it is fulfilling. I'll say this from speaking from my perspective, but I think a lot of people that are able to, like the Graham Nolans of the world, shout out. He was just on, was it the Real BBC that he was on with y'all?
Yesterday. Yesterday.
Yeah. Shout out. And yeah, like, you know, he's able to, despite being a legend, he's eating off of his own stuff, right? That's what he does right now with everything that he's doing with Compass Comics. He's able to eat off of, and you know, it's fulfilling, right? It's a different animal. It's like, hey, I don't have to play by you guys' rules because I don't fucking need you, right? And it's liberating in a sense. And these guys will never have that liberation that are part of the mainstream. They don't have the talent. They don't have the business acumen. And they have too much contempt for their own fucking audience of people that would be buyers, simply because maybe, again, they disagree with them on a topic on comic books, right? It could be something superficial. It doesn't really matter. They don't need a good reason to not like you. But again, I think that's where the arrogance comes from, is because, well, you got that sugar daddy. So what happens when sugar daddy goes away? What happens?
You go away.
You go away. Like there's no room for you. And I think a lot of people, going back to my previous point, that's why they lash out in the way it is that they are, because you can imagine being in their position. They have been subsidized, if you will. It's almost welfare, effectively. It's what it's been for them, right? Because they don't really have talent, right? You're not you and definitely with a lot of these guys, they are hand selected to check a box. And it's not like we're just saying that just to say that. If anything, these different segments it was that they were doing, like during that DC fandom shit, they were straight up telling us.
Yes.
You were telling us this was why you were doing this stuff. So it's not like
single presenter that came out. Inclusion and diversity is more important part of industry today. No, it's not. It is actually the least most important part.
It has no bearing on
fandom now, by the way. Where's fandom? Sorry, where's fandom now? Oh yeah, it's dead.
All that shit that they hyped up was largely a dud. Milestone especially. Alpha Core #1's pre-order is live. Written by the legendary Chuck Dixon and penciled by Joe Bennett. Visit Rippaverse.com to grab a copy and any of the merchandise items. Be sure to also check out the animated trailer for the campaign, which is the latest project from Rippaverse Studios. Y'all be easy.